KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
I keep following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Hey yo, I don't even know you and I hate you. See, all I know is that my girlfriend used to date you. How would you feel if she held you down and you? Tried and tried, but she never could escape you. She was in love and I'd ask her how. I mean, why? What kind of love from a would black your eye? What kind of love from a every night make you cry? What kind of love from a make you wish he would? I mean, bought you things and gave you diamond rings, but them things wasn't worth none of the pain that he brings, and you stayed. What made you fall for him? That had the power to make you crawl for him. I thought you was a doctor, be on call for him. Smacked you down cause he said you was too tall for him, That wasn't love, baby girl, you was dreaming. I could've told you when you said your seed was growing from his seed.
Love is blind, and it'll take over your mind. What you think is love is truly not. You need to elevate and find. Love is blind.
Welcome back into hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Eve, Love is Blind. That song was so like jarring when it came out in the video. We weren't used to hearing women in hip hop discuss issues, especially discuss issues of domestic violence and abuse. I mean, there have been illusions. There had been songs that alluded to it in some ways, but to really take it head on, and especially at that time, Eve was, peaking, a budding superstar, budding star. So it was, a big step. Obviously, we had, seen some of that from TLC in some of their videos, and we knew they were living some aspect of it in real life. And, we saw Destiny's Child later act some of it out when they, in their Emotions remake, but it really wasn't something that was openly talked about, especially not in music. Andy?
Sidebar.
Yes.
Eve, top 5 female MC of all time.
Who's in your top 5?
I can't think of anybody else, but Eve is definitely in my top 5 for sure.
Okay, because her pen game is nice. Her run is so small, though. It's so quick when you think about it.
It was so small, it was so quick, but I feel like it was so impactful. I can understand how people maybe overlook her. I just, every time we talk about female hip-hop, I just feel like Eve's name, if it gets brought up, it doesn't get talked about a lot, or it doesn't get brought up at all.
I can agree with that. I think it's because her run was so short and she just backed out. She was like, I'm cool, and took a step back. But Eva Destruction, that pen game, major, right? The features, solid. The fashion had her own. Think about it. She had her fetish line. She had a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we talk
Shelly.
about Latifah. Eve was my show. We talk about Latifah. We talk about LL. We talk about, Ice-T, these actor rappers. But Eve was holding it down and was an executive producer on that show at a time when, in theory, her status shouldn't have got that, but she had that. So shout out to her.
Plus, she had the short hair.
Right.
I don't know. That was, she was my celebrity crush, too.
Was she?
Absolutely. Right after T-Boss.
All right. So you like the blonde. There's something about blonde. Honey blonde and that brown skin, at least at that moment.
You know what? I didn't put the correlation because T-Boss did have the blonde, too.
Yes, she did.
You know what? And T-Boss had this little shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's crazy? My lady.
She got a shortcut?
When I first met her, she had the shortcut.
Okay.
So I you know what?
Look at you. Look. Just figured out a little attraction principle for you.
But then she went ahead and decided to settle down with the persuasion.
Okay.
It's good. It's all good, though.
I mean, listen.
Love is beautiful.
Love is beautiful. Did you see the video that Stevie J leaked of her?
I did not. Stevie J, man, you messed it up, homie.
Stevie J's still out here breaking heart promises and fingernails. What was Faith doing?
Exactly. I never understood that.
And
but I guess, they have a history. Bad Boy, he's producing records. I get the rapport.
Faith.
That was all bad. That was a bad look.
Stevie J. I was about to say, I was going to say something, but I'm going to just keep it moving. I can't say all of it, but what I would say is that back in the day, I had a friend that used to date Stevie J. And, Stevie J talks a lot of junk, right, about his prowess, about what that thing do. And, we see the women. Apparently, Stevie J can talk. Because Stevie J can back up some of the things that he talks about. I'll just leave it at that. Shout out to Stevie J. So listen, we started with that song, Love is Blind. And though, we are on to some lighthearted matters in discussion, this is a serious topic. We know since July we have been talking about Keke Palmer and her boyfriend Darius and their relationship. We saw him, act out on social media when she attended the Usher residency show in Las Vegas and declare, "You're a mother." And, at the time, their newborn son, I think, was maybe 5 months or so when this happened. Well, according to court documents, Keke, who is 30, has filed for sole custody of their son, Leotis. And she has also requested a restraining order because there are allegations of abuse, right? And not just allegations of abuse, but Palmer also submitted security footage from November 5th. It's November 9th, okay? So not even a week ago, in which he allegedly trespassed into her home without her knowledge or consent, threatened her before lunging at her neck, striking her, throwing her over the couch, and stealing her cell phone. Because, people really want to get into the cell phone because they feel like that's where all the answers to their insecurities lie, with that cell phone. Palmer submitted the security footage of the incident, and she went on to allege that there have been many instances of physical violence with Jackson that have included destroying her personal property, including diaries, prescription eyeglasses, throwing her belongings into the street, throwing her car keys to prevent her from driving away, hitting her in front of their son, spewing profanities about her to her son, and threatening to kill himself with a gun if she left, and other harassment and forms of emotional abuse. When we come forward, we're going to get into a little bit more of this story. We're also going to get into Darius's brother, actor Sarunas Jackson's response, and Keke's mom's response. All of that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level up,
Thinking about hosting a podcast and don't know where to start? Morris Media Studios has you covered. We're a professional podcast and voiceover studio located in Leimert Park. We specialize in recording and live streaming audio and video podcasts. Let us help you set up, record, and distribute your podcast. Hosting a podcast is a great way to bring awareness to your business, product, or good cause. For more info, visit morrismediastudios.com or give us a call at 323-815-4204.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right, yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all low Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze, la 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 la.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, the loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at soundidouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So we were talking about the recent announcement earlier this evening about Keke Palmer and her split from her boyfriend Darius Jackson and allegations of abuse. Keke submitted with her restraining order request footage from her security camera inside her home of what looks to be Darius throwing her over a couch, lunging at her, and, being a bit violent with her. So those pictures are out there if you are interested in seeing them. They're a little blurry. But shortly after this information was released, Darius's older brother, Sarunas Jackson, you know him from Insecure. He was Dro on Insecure. He tweeted the following. He then deleted it, but he tweeted and said, "The most disgusting, vile, abusive, manipulative person I have ever encountered in my life. Abuses almost everyone. Y'all will see. Just send positive energy to the babies. Any child in the middle of something like this does not deserve it at all." Wow. So sad. So listen. One, Sarunas probably should have stayed out of this one. I know you probably want to defend your brother, but if you kind of know that there might be video, and let's be clear, I feel like you know what your sibling is capable of. And even if you think, like, I'm going to use, a popular go-to, I'm not saying that this is what is going to be said about Keke and her ex-boyfriend. I'm not saying that this is what it is. But I guarantee you someone will undoubtedly say they were fighting. And that may be true. However, seems like there has been a pattern of this happening from what Keke said in the request for the restraining order for quite some time. To add more credence to the situation, Keke's mother, who never speaks out on these type of things, has, right? She made a video and put it out. And, I feel like when the mom steps in, and the mom has been pretty silent all along about this, and we know that Keke and her mom are close, but for her mom to want to come to social media and address this kind of speaks volumes. Before we play it, I will say that Darius put out a tweet again shortly before all of this news was announced, And it was a picture of him and his son, and it said, "I love you, son. See you soon." So everybody is utilizing social media to get their positions and sort of stand their ground. So let's hear what Keke's mom had to say about the situation.
Look, I've never done anything like this. I've been in this business for 22 years. I've seen a lot of stuff, but this is I can't help myself. For Sharonis Jackson to post on his Twitter the ridiculous stuff that he's posted when he knew his brother was abusive. I went to Sharonis over a year ago and told him that his brother was abusive to my daughter. And he said, well, I used to be like that too. What? So now he's posting on Twitter like he's this special guy when we know he's the biggest fuckboy in Hollywood. He's disrespectful to women just like his little brother. He taught his brother how to be abusive. So he don't get to act like he's this special guy. No, you're a fuckboy and you're a part of the...
So, didn't know that was in there. So listen, you get the idea. Mommy's mad. She is speaking out. She has probably been quiet, protecting her daughter, respecting her daughter as an adult to make her own moves and to sort of get into the own, flow of her relationship as a mother and respect that. But now the gloves are off for everybody. Fahima says in the chat, part of the problem is that Darius wanted to be a stay-at-home father. So let me say this. I don't believe that Darius actually wanted to be a stay-at-home father. I think that was the consolation prize. Darius wanted to be an actor. Darius's acting career just did not pop off. And Darius hooked up with someone who happened to be really popping, really talented, and, willing to be the breadwinner. I think that it's a hard situation and position for some men to be in when their woman is the breadwinner and on top of that, a famous celebrity. So that men in a different tax bracket or a different caliber than you are going to at least be, spitting game, throwing little things out there just because. So while it may seem exciting at first, like, man, I bag Keke Palmer, when that becomes your day-to-day and you're no longer Darius, you're Mr. Palmer or something like that, for people that don't know, it can take on, and, it can affect a man's ego, I believe. I think that, you've seen that. And I think, too, oftentimes when we have the conversations about financials and relationships and things of that nature, sometimes this is why some women are hesitant to get involved with a man that may not be making as much as her, because for some men, it sets up a dynamic that they say they might be comfortable with, but really aren't. It in some ways may feel emasculating to them. And, again, that may come from the woman it might be all good until there's a problem, until there's a stressor on the relationship, until, the furnace busts and you need an extra $7,000 and your card is full and he ain't got it and can't help you, or things of that nature. I think that those type of dynamics are when the resentment comes into play. And sometimes that resentment also leads to the physical manifestation of that animosity into some of these abusive situations. Again, not knowing what the complete story is, but knowing that Keke's mom is defending her daughter and coming hard body for Sarunas, right? And I think again, not knowing, gonna assume, don't know, because Sarunas did respond back and say that he's never been abusive with anyone and that the truth is all going to come out about people, and people need to be careful because people are not who people believe that, basically implying that Keke is an image and she's not really a nice person. I think when Sarunas, maybe if it's true, said, I used to be just like that, I think that that is an easy retort for an older person because they know, maybe they were and they grew out of it or they learned their lesson. But just because you were like that at one time doesn't mean that it is okay for this individual to act that way and to inflict that type of drama on them. I don't know. We're going to see what develops. I'm sure the way that this has just been over the course of a couple of hours and so many details and photos and videos have been coming out, I'm sure that there is going to be a lot more. But ultimately, you know what's going to happen, right? Many people are going to point to that incident, that tweet from the Usher concert and say, see, you men were like, he was just being a concerned man. He cared about his girlfriend when the reality was he is a controlling, abusive manipulator. That's what they're going to say. That is what they're going to, and they're going to say that it is a red flag and that the general public that was supporting him was encouraging that behavior, and that is why men act as such. That is my assumption, that that is what they are going to say. But, is it a red flag? I thought that it certainly was, at the very least, an indicator that might be some control issues there, because not just because he said it, but because he said it publicly on Twitter. And to me, that is step one of maybe trying to take her down a peg, trying to embarrass her somewhat. And that, is an indication of, I'm going to put that pimp hand on you, that strong arm or whatever. And I'm not even talking about physically when I say that, just meaning that, this is how it's going to go. I do feel really sad, though, that they said that this has been going on for at least a year, right? Because the baby's only 8 months. So was he abusive while she was pregnant? Don't know. Did he force his way back into the amicable situation? How many of those tweets that were coming out were really thinly veiled threats? We don't know. But we do want to send healing energy, love and light to Keke. I'm sure it probably was not an easy decision in putting all of that information into the sole custody requests and asking for the restraining order and things of that nature, because, people are going to talk. I mean, think about how long we had conversation about the Usher thing. It also makes you wonder what really happened when she got home from Vegas and that Usher show. Because, not only was the situation embarrassing for him, it then went further embarrassment because everybody was laughing at him and everybody was calling him broke. And, that can just build up your anger, and you can't take it out on the internet, but you can take it out on the person you feel caused it. And from Keke's description, it sounds like some of that may have been happening. So I hope that, again, there is a peaceful resolution to this. I hope that baby Leotis is okay. And I hope that Keke is okay, and that she, she's talked about at different moments, sometimes struggling with her self-esteem, but always being really confident, but just, struggling as we all do at times, and just being a young lady growing up in this entertainment industry, some of the things that you are exposed to, not in a danger way, just in general, the competition of it, the auditioning. Gabrielle Union recently talked about her not getting a role because her agent told her the producers felt that the other actress was simply prettier than she was. Those are the type of things that happen in Hollywood. So you add that compounded with the fact that, you are a new mom. And I'm sure people told her, hey, this is a mistake. Your career is just this, and this guy doesn't have this. And now it has to play out publicly. And we know the public has a long memory, unnecessarily so at times. So it's going to be conversation in some form or fashion for a minute. But again, I just wish Keke healing energy, and I hope that there's no more back and forth on the internet. I mean, I talk about us always wanting to be into the group chat, but, you know, not with everything. And yeah, that's it on that. Good luck, Keke. And I say that with all love and respect, because again, I know it's got to be hard, and I know it's got to be terribly embarrassing. But I do wonder though, girl, I like the Usher video, but you were really living on the edge, huh? Anyway. All right, so Jamie Foxx, we know that he is recovering or has recovered from a life-threatening situation earlier this year. Well, word on the street, according to a recent report, is that Jamie has really been thinking about life since that experience. And not only is he thinking about maybe getting married to his boo, her name is Alice Huckstep. Also, they're talking about bringing a little baby into the world, right? The two have been quietly dating since 2022. She's an Australian businesswoman. Don't know what kind of business, just know that that's what she is. But right now, the word is that they're smitten and having a lot of fun, and that a baby is absolutely in the plans. I want to know, because this is the same thing with Nelly. Someone asked him something about smiling or being with Ashanti in the comments, and something about pregnancy, and he was like, I'm about to try and put a baby in her tonight. Why are we always talking about the baby but not the wedding? You could do what you like. Y'all all could afford to handle it, but I'm just wondering why, especially at this point, like, these are older couples, right? So you know what you like. Why are we not talking about getting married, but we're talking about sharing DNA and being together for the kid for the next 18 years at least? Why is that an easier prospect than the prospect of actually saying your vows before God and saying I do? You know, when you're young, you know, you got all the excuses in the world. When you're older, I don't know. Maybe marriage isn't just for them. Maybe it's not in the plan, but it's mentioned. So if you're mentioning it in the mix, why can't you do it first? I'm just wondering. I'm not saying you have to, and I'm not mad at you if you don't. I'm just curious, though. When we come for more trending topics and headlines, you are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
She was your mistress, had to deal with fist fights and phone calls from your bitches. Lost like you possessed her, telling me to mind my business, that it was her life and stay the out of it. I tried and said just for him, I keep it ready.
Love is blind, and it'll take over your mind.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A Texas couple who appeared on an Oprah Winfrey Network reality show has been indicted by the federal government for running a pyramid scheme. LaShonda and Marlon Moore allegedly targeted the African-American community during the COVID pandemic. There were promises that participants would see 800% returns guaranteed. In reality, thousands of people were defrauded out of more than $10 million. The charges of wire fraud and money laundering mean the pair face 2 decades in prison if found guilty. The Randallstown, Maryland NAACP is questioning what it sees as a lack of urgency in tackling the issue of juvenile crime. President Ryan Coleman says his community no longer feels safe because crimes committed by juveniles continue to happen. Coleman wrote a letter to the head of the state's Department of Juvenile Services, Secretary Vincent Schiraldi, to take action on juvenile crime. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Make your next lunch a lunch combo from Buffalo Wild Wings. Choose from wings, street tacos, and more. Head to Buffalo Wild Wings or order online at buffalowildwings.com at participating locations for a limited time, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Price and participation vary by location. Taxes extra. See menu for details.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. 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 Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Are you hungry? 'Cause everyone left after the asparagus sorbet.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
would want ya. Standing on my roof with the rocket launcher. So fly like a nigga, but don't follow us wherever we go. The ish that I'm saying, make sure it's heard. Oh, I'm you when you're punk and ghetto bird.
Welcome into hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Andy, I got a question. At what age did you realize that the ghetto bird helicopters, was really an LA thing? Because it took me a long time. Like, I didn't know that wasn't really something that happened, like car chases and, the ghetto bird. Like, those are really kind of LA things, Southern California things.
I've never paid
thought
attention.
About it,
I never thought about
right.
it, never looked at it as a LA thing. I just, helicopters are all around the world,
They are, but do you think about it? How many do we see? How many street like car chases or police pursuits from like Atlanta or New York or some? Not really. Sometimes maybe Houston or some other places, but that, especially with the helicopter in pursuit, LA type stuff. There's more with newscopters, but really, really think about it.
I guess that's a little bit challenging because when you see high speed chases, a lot of that is local news. So I'm not expecting to see a car chase out in Philly unless it's a high profile situation like O.J. Simpson. You know what I'm saying? So
it's not something. Look, so we are the bank robbery capital of the world, right?
Okay.
And along with that, there are certain things about crime, especially as it relates to streets and layouts. I guess a lot of cities also don't have as much open space for it as we do. I know that we have, by we meaning Southern California, one of the largest, fleets of helicopters in the nation. And so these things are just, because of our geographic region, there's things that are just very LA.
Yeah.
Random.
I'm going to look into that.
Check into it and get back to me. We got time. So listen, before we close out on this Keke Palmer topic, Sarunas did respond back to what Keke's mom said. He said, "I never once said that to Sharon." Sharon being Keke's mom. "Not once in my life. I've never been abusive to any of the women I've ever been involved with. I'm not going to keep on with this circus. But Sharon, the world is about to hear your voice very soon. And the threats you made to my family and all of that. Be well, everyone. I know it's easy to get caught up in this, but make no mistake. We are all very sad." Well, one... Again, when you got your little Twitter fingers together to respond overall, did you really think that was the best move to help your brother? 2, Keke's like America's sweetheart. To imply that you are going to expose her and her mom is not going to set you up favorably, even if you have the evidence or the proof that you claim. Just let that come out. I think that, what's the saying? Doubt protests too much. I believe that's Shakespeare. I feel like that's what's happening with Sarunas. And sometimes it's just good, and I know it's hard, but we talk about this all the time. Social media and the need to pop off, explain yourself, utilize it as an explanation. I know it takes down the barrier between you and the people, and you get to put your own statement out. But sometimes it makes sense to just wait a little bit, right? We don't know what's going to happen. From what has been said from the blast, Keke has been granted temporary sole custody of her son. Darius cannot see him. The restraining order has been approved temporarily, and they will follow up with a new court case next month. So, of course, we will be following this and keeping up with the details. Again, healing energy to everyone involved. Okay, so are you guys ready for a hard left? Because we are taking a really, really hard left with this next topic. All right, we've talked about Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco Johnson over the past couple of weeks. Both are former NFL stars. Terrell is, of course, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Chad probably will be there someday at some point. Both outspoken. They were teammates before this athletes podcast wave became the move for everybody. T.O. and Ocho had a show together, so they were kind of on the forefront of this. Well, recently they got together and were having a chat on social media, and they were reminiscing about their old times together hanging out, and they revealed some very, very interesting info. Take a listen.
That time we was in the DR with them women.
Oh yeah,
the little orgy.
I had the big girl. I took the. I had to take one for the team. I had the big girl.
Sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you get.
Yeah, man. Hey, like I always tell people, big girls. Hey, big girls need love too, man.
They do.
You know what I mean?
They do.
Yeah.
But we went through about what 17 women in 12 hours.
Was it 17?
17 women in 12 hours, boy.
My mind ain't good, dog. I thought it was about like.
I'll forget nothing like that, boy. 17 women in 12 hours.
17?
17, boy.
Oh.
17.
Man, I thought it was about 12.
Nah,
12, 17. That's a.
Nah, it wasn't 12. You can't end sex on even numbers. That's how I know it was an odd number. That's how I know it was an odd number. It was 17.
Oh, okay. It was. Okay. You might have been right. You might be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't forget that.
Hey, I was done after about 2 or 3 though. I had to recoup.
So listen. First and foremost, ill, yuck. But really, listen. Reminiscing, why are you guys sharing that? Chad is engaged now with a new baby. Terrell was just crying a couple weeks ago about how he can't find love and find people to take him seriously. And what did I say? I said, you treat a lot of women as disposable. You can't be upset when you're treated as disposable back. And here he goes, confirming that, like, you passport bros? Because that's what it sounds like. You in the DR talking about you took on 17 women together and one of you took one for the team. Listen, Terrell, I'm sure you have had many women, good ones, bad ones, in between. And I'm going to circle back to, please know I'm kidding when I say this. The problem is you, T.O. The problem is you. Like, what woman, and I get it, it's in your past. Things were fun, things were wild. But how are we supposed to feel sympathy for you when you're telling us you ran through 17 women with your homeboy in 12 hours? Not even a day, not even a weekend, 12 hours. Ew, that's nasty. Does that indicate that you have low self-esteem doing that? Because that's what y'all would say if it was a woman. I'm just asking. When we come forward, more trending topics and headlines, we're going to touch on this Nicki Minaj story, how she says that she wishes she could pay for her 25-year-old body now. All of that and more, you're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello?
Man, where are you? I thought you were coming.
I can't. I'm in bed with the flu.
The flu? Whoa. Grandma's about to crowd surf. Man, I'll call you back.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at the same time as your COVID-19 vaccine. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together.
Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
Yeah, so I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend if you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So we are down to the last 2 stories of the night. Fahima in the chat says, Darius started all of this by going to social media. They all need to stop. He did, but I'm going to gather. And I thought that initially a little bit with that tweet, like, ooh, all is not right in paradise. But I feel like that tweet was not the tip of the iceberg. I feel like that was a long-standing thing if what she said was true. I don't think that was just the beginning of it. I think that was just the beginning of us seeing it. And maybe because, you get into an argument with your significant other, you like, oh, I'm going to go put on my, what did Martin say in the comedy special? My F-em girl dress, F-em girl, F-em. And you out there looking all good and an usher rolls up to you and you like, yeah, F-em girl. And you having a good time, right? The difference is now, of course, with social media, everybody can see it. So maybe you want the significant other that you had the argument in to see a little bit of that, to make their heart like pop out so they'll fall in line and remember you got options. But if that person is violent or, argumentative, it could go someplace else. So we knew that there was something more than what was going on under the surface. There were rumors, oh, they probably had broken up. Oh, why didn't she call him and show him her outfit? Not for permission, just because, hey, baby, I look good. Don't you want to see? Again, there were flags. Maybe they weren't red. Maybe they were orange, yellow, something, but there were things to indicate everything wasn't all good. So again, I hope that it comes to a peaceful resolution away from social media to a degree, because even though we may want to know, we don't necessarily always need to know. And, Keke is like, our young royalty. We love her. We've been watching her since Aquila and the Bee. That's VP True Jackson. And to hear her going through something like that is truly heartbreaking. So we hope that there's peace that is brought to them. Now, listen, we know Young Thug, YSL, Young Slime Life, and their associates have been on trial for this RICO case or in and out of court for quite some time now. Well, a recent ruling after a long deliberation has allowed for 17 sets of lyrics that authorities feel are not just songs, not just verses, not just, creative expression, that they are real life confessions, details of actual crimes. And so, unfortunately for Thugger, these songs are going to be entered into evidence in court. So Fulton County DA Mike Carlson said in a statement, the lyrics are being used to prove the nature of YSL as a racketeering enterprise, the expectation of YSL as a criminal street gang. We've got party admissions for every offense, even murder here. This is evidentiary use. So let's hear a little bit about what they had to say in court.
Mr. Williams. The song is called Bad Boy. It was released on Apple Music in January of 2021. And Mr. Williams says, I shot at his mommy. Now he no longer mentioned me. Now this would seem again insignificant if you're just looking at these words. However, in this case, in the height of the 2050 gang war between the YSL gang and the IF gang, we have cases in which individuals of YSL shoot at the opposition's mother's house. Mr. Rayshawn Bennett, also known as YF Manlucci, we have 2 incidents in January 22 of 2015 and January 26 of 2015, where his mother's home, Mr. Bennett's mother's home, was shot at. And it is alleged to have been shot at by a YSL associate. This particular video is entitled Slack Talk. So, specifically on this board, we have this verse. I just beat a murder rap, paid my lawyer $30 for that. There's a few other lyrics in between, and me and my slimes above the law. In addition to those lyrics, there's some other notable lyrics in this particular video. Mr. Stillwell states, and I keep a stick, ain't avoiding no smoke.
So listen, I don't know about her rap delivery. I'm being funny, but I cannot believe that rappers are still dropping those type of clues in their music. I just more creative than that, because you guys make up some pretty interesting scenarios. So why go with the truth when you know that, and you've seen so many people be taken under based off of their lyrics? That is puzzling to me. Is it just because the need for that street cred, the need to let your enemies know? I don't know. I just feel like, why are criminals, with all the technology that we have at our fingertips, becoming dumber? Why are they leading a breadcrumb trail right back to them? That couldn't have been the intent. I thought the intent with crime was to get away with it, not to put it on a billboard so everyone knows. I mean, is it the clout chase to say, we know that, for some rappers at a certain point in time, going to jail was considered a benefit because their album sales went up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure to a degree that's still happening with some. But these prosecutors are not playing with you guys anymore. Not that they haven't always been, but it's not as easy to get around it as it once was. And I just do not understand the blatant taunting. What does that really do for you? Especially when, in theory, you're in a career and at a point where you don't need the streets in that manner anymore. I'm not saying you don't need the streets. I know that those street ties are very deep and it's a very complicated thing, but I don't understand setting yourself up for failure. Doesn't make sense to me. So good luck to that with them. Their attorneys are maintaining that it's just their creative enterprise, and that the giant elephant in the room is that the judge is ignoring the art, that the art is here and the art has got to be separated from real life. It should be, but not when there are real bullets with real consequences coming from these actions. Too much of that, too much repeated of that. So the Nicki Minaj story, I don't know if we're going to have time to get into all of it, but let me just say this, right? Nicki has a cover story in in, I believe it's not Vogue. I just lost it because I'm moving too fast. It is Vogue. It is Vogue. It's American Vogue. Okay, that's what I wasn't sure about. And so she talked about how when she was 25 years old, that she should have been happier with her body. She said, I would effing pay to look like that right now. But today, I am at peace with who I am and how I look now. She said that, of course, it's no secret that she was influenced by being in the studio with all the Young Money guys and Lil Wayne, and she would see the video vixens come through with the BBLs and the butt shots, and she felt like she needed to get on board with that to make her rap career a go. And now, 15 years later, she doesn't feel the same way. We'll get into more of what else she said in the interview next week, because today is my Friday. Thank you, VIPs, for locking in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. If you want to revisit any of these stories, go ahead and download the app. Listen to the podcast, not just this show, all of the shows on this station. When we come forward, you're going to hear the best of KBLA. Until then, have an amazing night. I will talk to you on Monday, 9 p.m. Pacific time, right here